I'm Tom Baker, this is Chasing Cars, and today I'm having an early drive in the second generation Mazda CX-5. The CX-5 was a niche model in some markets, but here in Australia it's been our best-selling SUV for the last 4 years. So it's an understatement to say that getting the new model right is a critical mission for Mazda. Well, after spending a couple of days with the car up here in Brisbane, it's safe to say that Mazda have played a safe, if conservative, game with the update. People loved the way the previous car felt and looked, and the visual similarities are obvious here, but many of the key changes are in the much improved interior. So let's jump in and see what life is like inside the new Mazda CX-5. Like I said when I drove the recent CX-9, Mazda are nailing first impressions with their new interiors. Jump up into the CX-5 and you're presented with what I think is the most elegant and refined cabin in the medium SUV space. Like that new CX-9, both the look and the feel of this interior are very promising. Material quality has taken a big step up, with soft touch materials abounding across the door tops and the dash. And trims like this GT even get soft touch materials here where my leg rests, which I really appreciate. The seats, which are leather in the GT and Akera, are soft and comfortable, if slightly lacking in thigh support. However, it's roomy up here, and doing a few hundred kilometers behind the wheel was no problem. All CX-5s get Mazda's very solid MZD Connect infotainment, which you can control either by touch or with the rotary dial down here. It's simple and easy to use, but there isn't any Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Mazda tells us they worked hard on making the back seats of the CX-5 more livable, and on first impressions, it looks like that has paid off. Firstly, the relatively low central tunnel means that getting 3 people across is possible, but comfort in these outboard seats is very good because they're more shapely and they're softer than before. Plus, legroom and headroom are both generous back here, and there are air vents on every CX-5 but the base model. Despite the CX-5's dimensions barely changing, boot space is actually up by just under 10% to 442 litres. The boot is a good shape and size, and there's barely any lip, so you can slide bags straight in or out. Although the CX-5 does trail some rivals on outright room, notably the VW Tiguan. So what's the new CX-5 like to drive? Well, as always on these previews, I'll save my detailed impressions for when I'm able to live with one for a week or so and drive it on the roads that I like to drive on. But I'll certainly give you my first impressions. Well, first up, you can get it with 3 engines. There's a 2-litre front-wheel drive petrol that makes 114 kilowatts of power and 200 newton meters of torque. From there, to step up into the engine that most people will buy, and that's a 2.5-litre all-wheel drive petrol making 140 kilowatts and 251 newton meters. On most trims, there's also the optional 2.2-litre all-wheel drive turbo diesel that I'm driving now, and that makes 129 kilowatts and a stout 420 newton meters of torque. So, which one is best? Well, the 2.5-litre petrol is adequate, and it's a really good engine for just getting the job done. But those who really like driving will definitely want to spend the extra $3,000 to get the diesel, because it's punchy and genuinely refined. The diesel is surprisingly quiet, and it has really nice, effortless torque, which makes the car good to drive around town and really strong on the highway as well. Otherwise, the CX-5 does a good job of retaining the old car's fun-to-drive character. The steering is a little bit light at town speeds, but it does firm up nicely at higher speeds, and the handling is well controlled when pushed. The ride quality, well, it's generally comfortable, although the 19-inch wheels on top trims introduce a little bit too much fidget. The 17-inch wheels that are standard are more supple. Like the new CX-9 though, it's just so much quieter and less vibey in this cabin, and it needed to be. The CX-5's refinement is now equivalent or better than most of its rivals, but you'll hear more about that in upcoming comparison tests. Safety is also well taken care of, because every CX-5 comes with autonomous emergency braking that works in drive and reverse, plus blind spot monitoring and rear cross-traffic alert, and then a reversing camera. However, if you want more, things like active cruise control and lane keep assist, it's a big step up into the flagship Akera, as those features aren't available as an option pack. Much like these crashing waves, the new CX-5 is really just a relaxing car to think about and to drive. That's because the CX-5 feels so natural and so obvious. It gets so much right and offers lots of little improvements over the outgoing car. It isn't perfect, we wonder where the turbo petrol engine is, but in virtually any spec, the CX-5's good looks, great interior, and fun dynamics make it a very, very impressive medium SUV.